So this Lupe Fiasco, Kendrick Lamar, and Nas situation continues because Lupe just crashed the homies, Torre and Green's live stream, and I kind of feel like he might have been gaslighting a little bit, but let's get right into it.
$1 million in the tank.
I generally don't have too much
I
time.
had to speed this up because it was a kind of a longer video, so let's just get to it.
No, I ain't got time today. I'm busy as shit. But the other days I wasn't doing shit, so I had time to just do all type of random shit.
How are you?
I'm excellent. Life is great. It's fantastic.
It's nice to see you.
What's up, Terry?
Now, mind you, how this started, if you don't know, is they Green and Torre, the homies. Make sure if you haven't checked out Rap Latte channel, you go subscribe to them. Go subscribe to King Green's channel and Torre's channel. Brilliant content. So they were gonna have a conversation about this whole Lupe Nas thing because if you don't know, it actually started with King Green's video. That's what Quality was reacting to. And you know, Lupe Fiasco being the Batman of the internet, and anytime his name or face is on a thumbnail on a live, he jumps in it. He jumped in the live. So they were like, what a better way to have a conversation is with the person.
Hey, Terry, you remember when we first met?
I remember interviewing you. Did we? Oh, we met in Chicago. We met in Chicago.
I remember, perhaps. We were in a few different spaces together, but we're the
I'm sorry for pausing again, but Torre is such a legend, bro. Every single time, bro. This boy is like the hip hop Forrest Gump, bro.
pivotal moment was at the Grammys. You were doing red carpet, and it was me, my mom, it was J. Cole and his mom.
Now, shout out to this, but this is already a long enough video. Let's get right to the meat of it. Shout out to Lupe too.
Yeah, it was fun.
So wait, you got an album coming out?
Okay.
No, I'm not promoting. I have an album out called Live in Miami Beach. It's a live album we did in Miami Beach.
You just promoted it, but
I got time. I want to focus on one thing, and that's the Nas thing.
Okay.
So if you can, Green, salute you. I really only came to chat to salute you, and I was on my way through something else. Salute you for your take on rap and hip hop and the technical side of things, and being able to kind of parse out what the conversations we actually try to have on a higher level. And I do agree that some of these conversations shouldn't be had in the public. So to your point about shut the fuck up, you want to talk about me, nigga?
I got so caught up with the loop stuff, I forgot to say, hit that like button. Stop playing. You know, YouTube switched the algorithm up, and if you don't get a certain amount of likes on a video, your video dies on the vine. You know what I mean? Ever since they did that whole hype feature, and my channel's too big to have it now. So it is what it is. Shout out to all the small channels that have it. Keep winning. But we, as the SFJ Nation, got to fight back. Shout out to everybody who's been hitting that thumbs up. Y'all been making my channel go crazy. Keep doing that. I love y'all. Back to this. I mean, now, oh, by the way, it's not just Torre being a rap legend. If you don't know, King Green is a legend too. King Green got an Eminem feature, so I don't want to hear none of this. Who this guy? The legendary King Green. You better know. And Royce, Nick. And that's just one thing. You better go do your research. He is somebody who is very qualified to talk about this, but so am I as a rapper. Let's go.
I'm just saying, like in general.
I also wasn't talking about you.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But I do think there's certain once these conversations go into a certain academic realm, then they don't need to be public, right? And I do appreciate you.
Peer review, my guy.
Peer review, exactly, right? Yeah. And so I do.
Now I'm probably gonna pause a little bit more in this video than the other ones because I'm feeling like it's a little like kind of conversation debate. I disagree with that. I disagree with once the conversation of lyricism gets to a certain academic point, it needs to be happening in private. I don't agree with that. I don't even quite understand that because what you're saying, what you're insinuating is there's people who are not going to have the acumen to have the conversation, so you could only have the conversation with your peers. But to me, I feel like that makes you lose an element, and then that's why certain rappers to me get whack. Because they stop listening to the outside and they just start rapping for other rappers. And then that's when you start losing your touch with the people. So you can have whatever conversation in private, but I don't think these conversations need to be happening in private. In fact, I think they need to happen in public because you're educating. I think too often we focus on the trolls and the people who aren't going to get anything from this, and we don't focus on the people who do. There could be 100 people listening to this. Even if 60 of them are just here to try to hate on Lupe or Torre or Green or whatever, or just stand out, then that means there's 40 people who learn something, and that's way more valuable.
Appreciate Justin having a little bit of that, and he has some folks on there. So like Mickey IT has his space, and Mickey comes from Sosa, and Sosa is all about having those conversations, right? But we do it in private. They're very private. But anyway, just to clarify this thing, couple minutes. Go to
mind you, he said he's gonna clarify here. And let me point this out, bro. And this is my second time watching this because I watched this live, but I had to make a video about this.
To that talk of Justin. Don't go to the source because the source is wrong.
I'm not gonna pause too
much.
Go to. He said the source was wrong. Remember,
the actual talk with me and Justin and the panel.
Let the whole talk go.
Okay. I'm gonna try to pull it up right now.
Okay, and then fast forward through it because I think it's like 6 hours.
It takes him a second to get to it, so I'm gonna fast forward.
Does Lupe think logic is better?
Nah, I'm not talking about that. Get out of here.
Where is it?
Okay, so fast forward to.
You see, that's me in the chat right there. Hold on. Right there. Screw. Oh, I guess you can't see it because my face is blocking the camera. But hold on. Right there. You see me right there? Yeah. I was in here, boy.
Where the super chat, where the super chat comes in. There's gonna be a big yellow super chat.
All right. This is blue super chat, green super chat. There's a yellow.
All right, let's get to the super chat.
Trying
to pass my generation
to get to the label. Okay. The label looked at me like
lyricism painting portrait. This is a yellow one.
No, okay, back up.
Calling his mom.
It's a beautiful line, so he's not lyrical.
Okay.
Here it goes.
Okay,
here it goes.
Nas doesn't have great punchlines, so he's not lyrical.
I'm gonna ISO this.
Okay, let's listen to it.
That's so important to me.
Wait, no, back up before the super chat comes in.
Okay.
People think I'll be starting it. I'll say it first.
To your point, even I'll land the plane. When you said your definition, it was kind of context dependent. Like that's also true. So I think little pieces of all our definitions are in it. But it just becomes after that, it's a matter of subjection.
Cool. What do you think is second?
Tone.
Second to
bars, punches, lyricism.
Tone.
Like if you're grading the quality of
tone.
Now remember, he even said he puts tone above lyricism, but lyricism is either his one or his two most important quality of lyricism and being a top tier lyricist. That's what he's saying. Remember that. Lupe Fiasco. Everybody has different definitions. To Lupe Fiasco, tone and punchlines and similes and bars are the two most important, almost interchangeably, because here he says punchlines first, but then on this rap latte he reverses it and says actually switch, but it doesn't matter because it's the 1A, 1B. So let's get to it.
The tone of your voice.
Tone. That's bars.
I actually think tone of your voice is first, but since we were talking about lyrics and punchlines or lyrics, I put lyrics just for the sake of conversation. But I actually think tone is the most important thing. I think it's what people gravitate to more than
voice and imagination. How is someone conveying something I've been hearing my entire life throughout the whole length of human history, but they're presenting it in a new way? You know what I mean? Like
Justin?
love is hard because everybody in every art medium has been talking about that. The moon in visual arts, the sun. Like these things have been here throughout the entire course of history. But how do you convey a point in a way that makes us feel like we've just heard that for the first time? That's one of the
now they're giving their definition of lyricism.
most difficult things in the world to me, just to convey in general. And those are the two things I think about the most when I think about whether or not an MC is dope or not.
Same. And I feel like adding on to that, like to the tone piece, like if you saying it makes me want to learn it and say it, that like rates so high for me.
Did it just come up?
It's like, oh my God, that
just came up.
sounded so fun to perform. And they sounded
Pause this. Because I deal in receipts. I'm not a
Okay, so he's dealing in receipts. Pause.
liar. I'm not a salacious dude.
not a
I'm not chasing
liar.
hype. Yeah. Bring that screen back up.
Wait, can we talk about tone for 1 second?
Wait, no, we go.
See, Torre wants to have the actual conversation and kind of hold his feet to the fire. Lupe doing this Greco-Roman, get off me, bro. Y'all gotta understand, I love debating, I love hip hop, and I love watching different people's strategies of debate. Boy, the way Lupe hitting that ninja smoke screen, watch.
Finish this.
He said he ain't got time.
Lupe finds the most brilliant way of not answering anything, doubling down in the Nas thing, and then by the end of it, it sounds like he didn't, but he did. Watch.
We gonna land the plane because I got to jump in the shower and I got to get the fuck out of here.
Wait, but I want to know what you mean by tone, and I want to
the tone conversation. I think that I think if this conversation was about lyrics and lyricism, right?
Sure.
So everything around this conversation was pointed at lyricism. Everybody on that panel had a different definition of what lyricism meant to them.
Fact.
And what it meant in general. So somebody gave a actual, even to your point, Green, where you gave just a dictionary definition of lyricism, right?
Yeah.
But you also noted that that's not complete. Right, it doesn't take into consideration the experience of the craft, how the craft features it, and then how the practitioners of the craft approach it, and how the audience approaches it. So everybody on this panel, some are rappers, some are pundits, some are laymen.
Yeah,
everybody had a different point. The whole goal was to get to like a unified version, a unified theory of everything as relates to lyricism, right?
Mind you, this is him explaining that Nas thing he said. And like I said, this isn't me here calling Lupe stupid. Actually, Lupe is very smart. That's why I know what he's doing right now. Lupe's a brilliant speaker. That's why I know it. I see what you're doing, nigga.
So my particular point,
just as much as I love I say this often, like my family was really big into debate. My brother was a state debate champ, like type stuff. So I see what you doing, nigga.
View was punchlines. That's the way I look at everything. How I grade a really great rapper as it relates to lyricism is like, oh, do they got punches? So I can.
How I grade a really great rapper. Lupe Fiasco is explaining how he grades a really great rapper is what?
How I grade a really great rapper as it relates to lyricism is like, oh, do they got punches? So I can hear the story about your mom, and I can hear the story about, you know, you learning how to drive a car for the first time.
Now,
but did you have similes in it and dope punchlines in it?
Let me just add one. This is one thing to me. The most important thing that an MC can do is flow. Above all the things you're saying, I don't know if you're
Torres trying to have a conversation
within all, because to me,
Lupe ain't here for
flow
that
musicality.
I'm here to clear my name,
lyrics,
but I don't.
Your rhythmic relationship to the beat and becoming a drum within the track, like that is the most interesting thing that an MC can do sonically for me, and everything else goes after that.
Torre is about the flow and the sonics. You know, that's not to me necessarily is the number one thing, but that's very important too.
Okay, but so if we zoom out and the conversation goes away from lyrics and we just say artists as a whole, what do I think people gravitate to the most? I think it's the tone of someone's voice.
Okay.
Right? Like it's their voice. It's the way that their voice sounds sonically. I think that's the most immediate thing we pick up on, even if we don't understand what they're saying. Like you can listen to some Japanese hip hop, not know what the fuck they're saying.
This is all explaining his point on why he said Nas is not a top tier lyricist.
Yeah. And it still be vibes. Right, you can still feel energy, emotion. It's really just the tone of their voice, even without understanding what they're saying. So I think that it's tone. I tell my students that it's tone, the most important thing. But this conversation was specifically about lyrics, so that's why I didn't say tone. But when she asked second, I said, oh, tone. And then we get into this whole diatribe about tone of voice. And as we're talking about tone, a super chat comes in, and Touré, and your wonderful, melodic, soft, but also stern, journalistic voice, could you please read the super chat that I did not write?
Nas doesn't have great punchlines, so is he not lyrical? What about other literary devices? I remember Lou praising Blue back in the day. He also isn't a punchline heavy MC. How can we reconcile this? It's a very
now this is already, as a nigga who try to find what debate strategy a nigga gonna use, this is already when I clocked it right here. When Lupe Fiasco said, I didn't write this, right? And then right here he's doing the see, as if the conversation was Lupe Fiasco wrote this. Who wrote the super chat has absolutely, positively nothing to do with the conversation we're having right now. Lupe Fiasco is gaslighting you by trying to attach it to that and go, but I didn't write it. I didn't bring Nas up. Who cares who brought Nas up, nigga? Why did you say you don't believe, or did you say you don't believe he's a top tier lyricist? Explain that. Explain that. And the reason why I had to show how he's explaining where he says what he determines a top tier lyricist, that's him doubling down. So he said here, I deem somebody with punchlines and figurative speech as a higher lyricist than somebody who doesn't use it as much. So he is still saying he does, and since he deems Nas to not be doing that, he does not deem Nas a top lyricist. I wish the conversation would have been more about why is it that you deem that so much more about everything else? Why can somebody like Nas, who can write Illmatic in your book, get dropped down because he's not saying I spit like a gun? And then also, I wish Green would have pointed out the fact there's some just blatant things that said here that I didn't agree with, because Nas is not known to be a punchline rapper. But to act like Nas doesn't spit punchlines, that's why in my reaction, that's why I always say like these talking heads things just get to be talking heads and nobody really making a point. That's why I had to, my thing was I reacted to Lupe saying that, and I reacted to freestyles where Nas is spitting punchlines. The wrist froze like the toes on the body in the morgue. And there's many, many more. So it's like, nigga, Lupe's going right here for the rest of this clip try to point out that he didn't bring this up. So he doesn't speak about why he said what he said. That's gas. Like, what are we doing? What, nigga?
Thoughtful super chat.
Now, mind you, at this point in the conversation, we're
stick around. This is going to be a longer video, but I'm cooking. Hold on.
Still talking about tone. If you press play, Justin is going to be talking about tone, or BK is going to be talking about tone, and then eventually Justin is going to read this super chat.
Okay.
Now, all the clips that you have seen about this are going to start from the end of this chat, of the end of Justin reading this super chat.
Spoiler, it doesn't matter where the clip started. Spoiler, the clip was about what you said about Nas. Spoiler, I watched all of the live stream. Doesn't change anything. Because the question is, were you saying Nas is not a top tier lyricist? Why did you say that head ass shit? And now what he's trying to prove is, but I didn't write the super chat. And then now he's going to try to blame it. Well, Clippers, you know, social media, everybody doing everything for clout. That's the way that you just get to hand wave off when niggas do something. It's like, yeah, nigga, but we clipped the part where you said the thing that we're questioning. The reason why we don't have to care who wrote the super chat, because we didn't say, you said Nas doesn't have great punchlines. Nas, is he a No, nigga, the super chat made you say something. We're questioning you about that thing you said, Lupe.
Right. They're not going to mention the other part. So it's going to sound.
And the other part changes the context nothing, because the other part would still boil down to you saying you don't think Nas is a top tier lyricist because he doesn't use that many punchlines.
Like, I come in and introduce Nas into the conversation.
It don't matter who introduced Nas. It's not the point.
So should I play it?
Yes.
Don't fly doing that. Like, I got to learn it right now so that I can embody it. Like, that
it's going to be a long video. Stick around. I'm cooking.
Brand new thoughts or thinking new thoughts or and Octavia.
And I love Green, I love Tourette, I love Lupe, but this was some PR spin, boy.
Butler's World
by Lupe.
Like there are new suns, right? Like there's nothing new under the sun, but there may be new suns, and so I think that's the exciting part of like
shout out to B.
Going beyond even lyricism. That's so important to me.
That's what I was second thought. I like this comment right here. This super chat from Leo the Lion says Nas doesn't have great punchlines, so is he not lyrical? What about other literary devices? I remember Lou praising Blue back in the day. He also isn't a punchline heavy MC. How can we reconcile this?
And why Lupe is being super gaslighty is because the super chat is bringing up Nas, but it's only bringing up Nas in the context that you put of MCs first. She's asking you a question. She's giving you an example off of the thing that you said. Like, just because she said Nas, she could put any rapper there. It's still valid, nigga. She's asking you a question about your criteria.
So in terms of like, if you compare Nas to, if you
now listen to exactly what Lupe says. In this thing, does Lupe say Nas is a top tier lyricist or not? That's the end all be all. They're gonna try to throw a bunch of stuff in there to confuse you. At the end of this clip, does Lupe say that Nas is a top tier lyricist or not? That's the point.
Remove, like again, for me, remove the beat, remove everything else, and just go with the words. If you threw Nas into and you created the list of just people who rap, which is a big list. There's hundreds of thousands of rappers. And you remove all that, he wouldn't rank high. I wouldn't rank high.
Look at Torre. See, Torre was taken aback like, no, nigga, that is what you said. What do you mean? What is it? You can remove the super chat. The context is still the same. We're still gonna be questioning what you said, Luke.
That doesn't mean we're not lyricists in our space, but when you isolate it to that, just that fundamental part, a lot of people don't rank high.
What?
You know, it doesn't take away from.
Thank you, Torre.
Can y'all hear me?
Can y'all hear me? Let it
play. No, let it play. No, let it play.
Yep.
Play out.
I'm just confused on why you said you wouldn't rank high.
It doesn't take. I'm saying I know beasts, like people who all they do is punchlines, similes, entendres all day, right? And I also know that I'm really high, but I also know there's thousands, right?
So Lupe is saying again, it's a double down. He just places people that spit punchlines super high. And because of that very restrictive definition of lyricism, he then can't put Nas up there. And then he said he can't even put himself up there. That's why I wish they would have spoke more about that criteria and why that's kind of, it becomes reductive at a point. And then I wish they would have spoke more about, they didn't really speak about what he said, right? I wish we would have just spoke about why did you say that. And I feel like Torre was doing that. And I think Green was trying to navigate what Lupe was saying, because Lupe is just not, I don't know, with all of these, he's not good on live streams with articulating himself, I feel like.
And we haven't done a count. We haven't done a survey. We haven't done a proper summary. It was something I wanted to do a couple years ago. We might do it in the future if things like this become more people get interested in that, to really see how many rappers are there in the world. I reached out to Spotify, I reached out to SoundCloud.
Now this is all dressing. We're here for the Nas thing. he is still saying he does not place Nas as a top tier lyricist.
And tried to get a list, even though some of that is like proprietary information and it's private, to get a count of how many rappers there are in the world. And out of that, how many are in this genre, how many do this, how many do that. And you can sit and test skill. It'll take some time.
Shout out to everybody watching.
It doesn't take away from Nas as a lyricist at all, because he's Nas. Like, that's crazy.
Shout out to Green.
But if you start to is when you compare him to just like punches, the guy said it himself. Nas don't have a lot of punches, right? He don't have a lot of like bars like that.
And like you can even see in Lupe's corner, he thinks he's making a point right here. Like he thinks that he's exonerating himself or like clearing his name, but it's like, nigga, Lupe, the question wasn't, because he's acting like the conversation is, why does Lupe keep bringing up Nas out of nowhere? That's what he's speaking to. Nobody is saying that, nigga.
Compared to like a Chino XL IT, which is all bars. So if you're rating it on bars, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, Chino XL.
And then this is the gaslight part where he goes, if you're rating it on bars, then yeah, Chino XL will rate higher. But Lupe, you are rating it off bars. Throw that if out, right? Say, and that's what would make it more clear. Since I judge with bars so high, I'm going to put that there. That's what you should say. Don't say if, because if you say if, it gets confusing because I go, we're trying to figure out what you're saying, nigga. Like,
you're rating on that chill. Are they both lyricists? Yeah, because again, we kind of defined as a unit. Everybody has pieces of these. Like even to kind of BK's point about feeling. And me and Mickey, we talked about this yesterday, like feeling, right? Like everything has feeling. You're not going to escape feeling. You're not going to find a feelingless word. Everybody's going to feel. That comes along for the ride. So
he's also saying feeling isn't as important to him and explain why, because everything has feeling, which doesn't make sense. I wish there was more pushback on this stuff. That doesn't make sense either. And Green doesn't agree with that either, because Green even later on says like, no, that is lyricism. But he wasn't even saying that to rebuttal what Lupe's saying. He was just saying that as a fact. I wish he would have spoke against like, why do you feel that feeling? I think people wanted to dissect what he actually said and not, did I say it first or not, a contest.
Kind of like a given, right? How intentional you are with the vocabulary choice and the word use or whatever to exaggerate certain feelings or compress certain feelings or say things in a certain way to remove the feeling or dampen the feeling or project it in a different space. The whole game is negotiating feeling. Language is negotiating feeling in a certain way, right? So you're going to get that like regardless. It becomes like, if we're going to focus on who has a mastery of feeling, right, then that's a whole other conversation. Like, who makes me feel the
Which is still lyricism, right?
And you have that with or without bars.
But here's the thing, Green, this is the part that threw me off a little bit, because you're a genius writer, right? Everybody on this is genius writers, right? Torre's not a rapper, but he's a genius writer. But here's the thing, right? I feel like you said that, but that's still lyricism as like a caveat, but I don't think you realized that was the antithesis of what he was saying, right? He is saying that since feeling, every word has feeling, I don't consider that as much lyricism or place it as high as punchlines. So I wish Green would have sat here and spoke about why that's kind of a head-ass take to have. You have the right to have whatever take you have, but I also have the right to debate that take and point the holes in it, because it doesn't make sense, because Green is 100% right. And this is why you end up saying the things you say, Lupe, because you will put something so and I love punchlines. I'm a battle rap head, but I cannot have that. That seems to be the end all be all to lyricism for Lupe.
So you're saying specific to the area.
And this is what I hate too, is Torre is trying to figure out what he's saying instead of going, nigga, what were you saying? And this is what the rest of the conversation is essentially like. Green and it's Torre trying to figure out what he's saying, and Green kind of trying to make what he's saying sound a bit more sensible. But like
a punchline.
Both of them aren't saying what Lupe's saying. Lupe's right there. I want Lupe to say it. Don't give him a choice and like, hey, is it A, B, or C? Pick which one is going to give you the less backlash. Like, no, nigga, tell me what you felt.
Yeah. He's not top 100. But politically, he obviously is.
Now listen, and Torre's trying to make sense out of this. Watch.
Yeah, he's not top 100, but politically, he obviously is.
I didn't even bring Nas up.
That has Lupe. That's gaslighting, gang. Torre asked you a direct question, nigga. A direct question. You said, okay, so you're not placing. Since you placed, you saying like he's not one of them because of then, and then your response was, I didn't bring Nas up. What the heck? Brother, if y'all don't know what gaslighting is, This is that your girl catches you, like sees a picture of you smashing a girl, and then you just turn around and be like, I never met her in my life. It's like, nigga, I'm watching the video, never seen her in my life. That's what just happened, right?
That's what I'm focused on.
Exactly. You're focused on not the point.
The conversation is right. I didn't say Nas didn't have punches. That was the question.
That you agreed with, and you did say it, Lupe. You even said, even in the super chat, they say Nas, you agree with it though, so it doesn't matter that they said it. You agree, nigga.
That somebody else asked. If it was up to me, Nas would have never, no rapper would have came up in the conversation.
What does it matter? Dog, no, that's not fair. You said you have a criteria of rappers and lyricism. You saying if it was up to me, be no rapper. No, that's just you, you just didn't want your feet held to the fire. If you're going to make a criteria of who's top lyricists, niggas are going to start putting rappers to that criteria. Don't go, if it was up to me, I just would not have said any rapper. So why are you on that stream, nigga? Why? If we're having a conversation about NBA and you're saying the best NBA players of all time are the niggas who had the best handles, and then we start talking about other NBA, you go, if it was up to me, we would not have brought up any NBA players. So what are we, what, nigga?
It's easier, for sure. Okay.
You're saying you make a criteria for rappers and thought niggas weren't going to bring rappers up. Lupe, you way too brilliant for this, bro. And then this is where, I'm going to end it around here because I want it to be too late. But this is where the rest of this clip, the rest of this, not this hour, but the rest of this Lupe section is just King Green going, all right, let me try to help Lupe out because, and King Green does a brilliant thing and says what Lupe could have said, but it's still not what Lupe's saying. But
probably came up in the conversation at all.
And you almost see King Green had enough, like, all right, nigga.
That's easier, for sure.
Watch.
Okay.
You're saying basically that what we saw the image is a misquote. And that's the most important part. That's a
It's not a misquote.
Misquote because you didn't say that shit.
And when
you did say that shit.
When people post up, that's because people post that.
Okay, so this is gaslighting. This is the rest of this is them pretending that I want to see what it brought up. Wait, is there a point where they actually bring up the quote? Oh, damn, they didn't bring up the quote.
It was up to me, Nas would have never no rap.
Okay, so go watch the rest of this clip. It's very gaslighting with the Lupe stuff. Basically Green goes on to saying, so you're basically explaining, even Green, the reason why I don't want to go too far into Green's example, because he starts saying things that kind of have nothing to do with what Lupe said, but he's still right, where he's talking about Jay-Z's, the difference between a lyricism and like the different ways song cry. Then he starts talking about the brilliance of the chorus of song cry, which he's all valid for. But we're here for this. In no place in this does Lupe actually ever. This is all just gaslighting. And then let me find the quote, if I can find it. What's the difference when you're my baby? We're gonna find it. We're gonna find this. Damn, where in the hell is that? What?
My mom. Time.
Cole and his mom.
Back up.
The brand new.
It's weird. Okay, so I found it. I found the quote, right? Hold on. Let me actually exactly what Lupe said here. Let me find Lupe.
Devices. I remember.
All right, so I found the quote that they said was misquoted. So it says, the source said, Lupe Fiasco feels Nas, then they quote it, but not the double quote. So people need to know the difference between a single quote and a double quote. A double quote means I'm directly quoting what you're saying. Single quote doesn't mean. So Nas feels wouldn't rank. Okay, Lupe Fiasco feels Nas wouldn't rank high on a list of greatest lyricists. So the quote is Lupe Fiasco feels Nas wouldn't rank high on a list of lyricists. So what did he actually say?
What about other literary devices? I remember Lou praising Blue back in the day. He also isn't a punchline heavy MC. How can we reconcile this? Open floor.
So in terms of like, if you compare Nas to, if you remove, like again, for me, remove the beat, remove everything else, and just go with the words. If you threw Nas into, and you created the list of just people who rap, which is a big list. There's hundreds of thousands of rappers.
Okay.
And you remove all that, he wouldn't rank high. I wouldn't rank high.
So the quote is, mind you, they're not directly quoting Lupe, but what the quote from the source is, Lupe Fiasco feels Nas wouldn't rank high on a list of the greatest lyricists. Now, and what did he just say?
And you remove all that, he wouldn't rank high. I wouldn't rank high.
And rank high in what? The list of the greatest lyricists. So Lupe Fiasco, the quote is Lupe Fiasco feels Nas wouldn't rank high in the list of lyricists. What did he just say here? He wouldn't rank high in the list of lyricists. Now I get it. Social media, people do spins, media be bad, niggas be lying, niggas trying to clickbait. This is not clickbait. The point of what the source says is what Lupe was feeling. That is exactly what Lupe was feeling. He didn't directly say greatest list of the word lyricist, but he said, one more time.
And you remove all that, he wouldn't rank high. I wouldn't rank high.
So if the source quoted me and said, Screwface John says Burger King doesn't rank in the top of all greatest fast food restaurants. And then I get on a live stream and said, I didn't say that. I just said that I don't think Burger King ranks as high as the other fast food restaurants. What the hell is the difference, bro? Shout out to Green, shout out to Torre. The rest of that live stream doesn't really have, Lupe just came in and out. Go watch it. This was a clinic in gaslighting. I ain't gonna lie to you. Lupe been doing this a long time, and I don't blame Green, I don't blame Torre. They were trying to get to the middle of it. They were trying to get to, especially Torre. And Green was trying to make sense of it the whole time, but I just think Lupe's not very good at talking at these live stream situations. I feel like he's got some sort of anxiety or something. He doesn't look at it like he looks at like when he's giving lectures or when he's rapping, he's brilliant. And I feel like sometimes he can't articulate himself great on these things and ends up saying head ass shit. But the point of you acting like you didn't say that or people misquoted you or put it out of context. No, nigga. The point of everybody saying this is you said this thing about Nas. You did you or did you not say that thing about Nas? And I wish the conversation would have been more why. Because I get what you're saying. I just rank punchlines so high that I can't even place myself that high. I wish then it would have came, and then you're saying like, I don't have feelings that high. I wish there would have been a hip hop barbershop conversation more about that. And he was just saying, my ultimate point was that I didn't bring up Nas' name, but who cares? It's your theory that they're speaking of. This is about, treat it like academics, bro. We don't care about the example. We care about the theory, right? I don't care. X plus Y equals A plus B equals C, right? I want to talk about that formula, not what A, B, and C are. I'm talking about how the formula is flawed. Come on, bro. This Pythagorean theorem. Pythagoras? Whatever.